Hi everyone, my name is Shannon. I'm a reseller that sells on several different platforms, and I sell a mix of old and new, but kind of more of the emphasis on vintage. Some of you might have found me today because you followed me in the past, and so you probably noticed a little bit of change. I used to go by Recycle-ista. I had a blog for a long time about vintage and vintage research and things like that. And that was the Recycle-ista, and a lot of my shops and different social media handles had Recycle-ista in it. So I've made a change in the last couple of years to Pish Posh, and I made a few other changes in reselling in general. And so I'm excited to be back on YouTube. I wasn't sure if this would ever happen, but I'm just excited to share some more about reselling with you guys, and a little bit of vintage, a little bit of new, and we'll still talk about research. But I thought I would start today with something fairly simple as I get my feet wet and get back into this again. I wanted to the other day I went to Goodwill and I was just out running errands, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna just swing by Goodwill. I have plenty at home to list. I don't need a big haul or anything like that. But while I'm out, I'm gonna go in, and just in case, you never know, there's those things that are just too good to pass up. And so I just figured that was gonna be one of those days. And so I said, let me just run into Goodwill, a few minutes, take a quick look around. Well, I started to find things pretty quickly, and I just discovered quickly that it was one of those days where there was actually quite a lot of stock. Like, there was more stuff. I had been there less than a week before, and there was a ton of new stuff. There was a lot of people, but I don't know, they just weren't looking for the same things I was looking for. So I ended up finding quite a few things. So I thought, you know, this is a good way to kind of ease back into YouTube. Let's just kind of share a haul with you. It's mostly clothing, but quite a bit of vintage clothing in there. And there's a couple of hard goods that I'll share at the end. So over time, we'll get caught up. I don't want to tell you my whole life story on this video. Let's just talk about what I found, okay? So I'm gonna start with this hat, and I'm starting with this hat because I actually listed it and sold it already. So it's a good brand to get to know. Maybe you've heard it before. It's called Tilly. Hopefully you can see that. So it's a brand, it's made in Canada. And when I picked up the hat, I had a vague memory of hearing that brand before. And so I wanted to I did a quick look on my phone, and I said, yep, Tilly hats seem to have a good sell-through rate, and they seemed sought after. So I grabbed it. I think I paid a couple bucks. So anyway, I listed it pretty quickly because there wasn't much I had to do to it. So that night I listed it, and by the next morning it was sold. He had a couple more questions about the exact color of it, which I did my best. And yeah, anyway, so before I ship it out, I wanted a chance to show that to you. So that's Tilly. Anyway, okay, moving on. Let me put that someplace safe because we have to package that up tonight. Okay, so I usually go straight. I do sell clothing. In the past, I tended to focus more on vintage hard goods and various different things. And in the past couple of years, where we live now, there's a lot of good vintage clothing, outdoor wear, sportswear, that kind of thing. And so we've kind of slowly gotten back into doing that again. And a lot of resellers either love or hate clothing. I don't mind it so much, and it actually has sold pretty well for us. So I like men's clothing, and my haul is pretty heavy on men's. I think there's only there's some women's shoes, and then there's a woman's sweater, I think. So anyway, I just wanted to show you what I found in the men's. Okay, so this is a vintage, it's a big flannel shirt, but it's quilted, it's lined, and it's got a vintage label, Oslo. You can see a little bit of a vintage label there. It's Oslo menswear, made in Egypt. right? So it's not terribly vintage. I'm gonna say 80s, 90s probably for that. But just for the season, it's a really good piece. It's a good size. I think it said extra large on, 2XL. And it does have a little bit of damage. I think there's a hole I saw, or a tear. But I went ahead, yeah, just a small, there's like a small hole pull kind of thing right there. But I thought it was really good for the season, and the size was good, and so I just went ahead and grabbed that. So pricing at my local Goodwill is pretty much, for clothing, it's flat. They do tend to, I noticed recently they started doing flat pricing that changes during the season. Like, so now that we're going into winter, they bump the prices on the jackets and the sweaters. And so if she rang that up as a long sleeve shirt, so I think that was about $5 or $6. The jackets are $10, coats are $13. So it's gone up this year more than last year. Something I had to keep in mind. I was trying to keep in mind while I was doing it. But I also had a 20% coupon that I used also. So this is one of the first things I found when I got there that made me really excited, because I was kind of hoping I'd find some vintage cardigans, some vintage sweaters. I like the black little diamond pattern there on the bottom. The brand on this one is good. It's Jansen. It's very recognizable, like sportswear. They're known for their bathing suits. It's just a size medium. And it doesn't have a, what do you call it? Material content. It kind of feels like wool. It's itchy in that way, but it's just got that nice look to it. That grandpa cardigan look is popular right now, and as well as there's a trend called academia, dark academia, light academia, and this very bookish kind of look, scholarly look, and I think that would fit into it really well. If I was younger and smaller, I would love that with like a plaid pleated skirt, wool skirt. It would be super cute. Anyway, so I'll put that up on eBay, Poshmark, Depop, and we'll see where it goes. And I'll try to remember to use those hashtags and trends and all those things I'm not terribly good at because I'm not young and trendy. But you just kind of pick things up here and there, right? Okay, so this was the next, it was kind of a larger piece of clothing, and it's also kind of a trend right now, is Carhartt and vintage Carhartt workwear. Sorry, I've got a noisy bag down here. So these are overalls. They're Carhartt. They're their classic duck material. Sorry, I'm trying to get, I think it's half connected. Okay, here we go. So they're a pretty good size as well. And here we go. They zip up the front. That's why we're having issues. Okay. And it really doesn't matter that there's work stains and that they're distressed. That's actually better. Any of the pristine Carhartt I've been coming across just like sits, like nobody buys it, but people like it to look broken in and that it looks like it was worked in. So again, same thing, this one's quilted. It's like insulated a little bit. I sold a pair like this. I think they were in better condition for $80, almost exactly a year ago. So things will change, will depend on the size and then how strong that trend still is going. I think it'll do pretty good, but I'll probably shoot for just about that same amount. Okay, so then, see, a lot of jackets and sweaters is what I was coming across that day. This one I grabbed, I like the color. It's a Ralph Lauren. It's one of the Ralph Lauren lines. So it's Ralph Lauren polo jeans, right? So made in Hong Kong, which is kind of your giveaway that it's probably 90s, 80s, 90s. It's that great polo color, the yellow color from that time period. You know, some of the Ralph Lauren lines do a lot better than others in the vintage, especially in the 90s, the Y2K. There's certain lines that people are really looking for and will pay a lot of money for. So I just grabbed this because of the look and the made in the Hong Kong, and I knew it was vintage, and so I looked it up when I got home, and it looks like it'll sell for about $30 or so. So same thing, I probably paid like $5 or $6 with my coupon. But that's that. It's in really good shape, so I don't really have to do anything to it before I list it. So that's an easy peasy kind of thing. Oh, I did get another piece of women's clothing. Okay, we'll save the women's for last. Okay, while I was in the sweaters, I also just kind of grabbed a couple. These are kind of basic bread and butter type things. They're just sweater vests. But this one's Brooks Brothers. It's a wool. It's 2XL. It'll probably just need some sweater shaving, get some of the pilling off of it. But I look for the good quality yarns and materials like wool or cashmere or things like that. So yeah, it's gonna need some depilling, but that's kind of easy to do. And then right next to it, I think someone's whole, it might have been an estate or something, because there was a lot in a very similar style and similar size. So this one's LL Bean. This one's lamb's wool. It's also 2XL. It's just kind of a plain taupe brown. But that one's in a little bit better condition, so that one might be good to go pretty quick. So we'll get that on there. Again, just bread and butter. I don't have an idea. It'll probably be like a $25 thing that I'll shoot for. Okay, so then I went back to coats. So I'm pretty sure I was charged for coat price, so 13 minus the 20%, so a little over $10. I found this motorcycle or this riding jacket, and it's in a camo. The brand, let's see, the brand is that, now I need to look, Vanson Leathers. Okay, and it's camo, and it says Vanson there, and then up on the collar it says Suzuki. So yeah, quad or dirt bike. Overall, it's in really good condition. I mean, you can tell it was worn and everything, but it could have been a lot worse. And let's see, it is an extra large. And I looked at comps. I looked at the comps while I was in the store, and it looks like those are also about $80 is what we can shoot for that. So I thought that was a good deal. Then this was kind of exciting because I was texting my husband a couple times. He had called one time, we were talking, and I was like, you know, I didn't want to say in front of all the shoppers, like, there's really good stuff here today. So I was and so then he let me go. And so I texted him and I just said, sorry, there's a lot of people and there's a lot of good things. And then I sent him a picture of this label, and it says Loro Piana, made in Italy. And so he knows that, that name, and they have clothing themselves. And then sometimes you'll see, the little tag like this on other brands that use the wool that Loro Piana makes or provides or whatever. So I don't know if I'm explaining that very well. So you can have an article of clothing that has Loro Piana wool, but the brand is like Brooks Brothers or something like that. But you can look for that name and it's still very sought after. Or Loro Piana makes their own clothing as well. So I found this jacket. It's like an overcoat, trench coat. It's more like water resistant and wind resistant. And I know there's a lining that comes out, and I was looking at the content tag and there is some wool in it. It's a wool blend, I think, in the liner. But they have, it's called this, like, it's a special, if I can't find it now, it's probably in the pocket. Anyway, I'll have to find it some other time. But it's a Storm, they have like their own proprietary blend material that they market. So I'll try to, or I'll have my son help me, but I'll try to put up the comps that I saw for these jackets. And I think they were close to like 80, 90, maybe one was over 100. Well, the only issue with this is that it was worn pretty well. So I think it might be worth it to us to take it to the dry cleaner, get it all dry cleaned up as good as we can, and then try listing it. But Loro Piana is a good name to be on the lookout for if you want to look for clothing. Okay, moving on. This was in the men's. It's Carhartt again, and it's a work vest. And it's green, but still that same kind of classic Carhartt material. Now it says, what did my husband say? I think it said large. Now I don't see the size. He saw it somewhere. It could just be my bad eyesight. But it's made in the USA, so it's also an older one. There it is, large regular. But we're kind of thinking it might be a woman's large, because it was not, it fit my husband more like a medium, and he is a medium, if that makes any sense. But anyway, but it was still kind of short on him. So we're not sure if that was the style or if that's just the vintage style of these. So I'll have to do some more research and compare measurements and things like that. Now it is personalized to a local lumber yard, and I kind of grabbed this in case my husband wanted to wear it because he goes to this lumber yard fairly often. But he said he doesn't really need anything right now. So we'll try to sell it. And on work clothes like this, it doesn't always make a huge difference. I found having the patch, you are going to sell it probably for a little bit less. But I think this is a neat, again, it's quilted. Everything I'm finding was quilted on the inside. So we'll see how that goes. Like I said, I kind of gave it to my husband, but I think it's just too short. It doesn't feel right on him. So we'll see if somebody else wants that. Okay, and then this one is new to me. Okay, it took me a minute to look it up. There's an S and an E and a V there, and a lot of it I had to find on the buttons. There was somewhere else, probably on the inside. There's a website that was getsev.com, and so I finally got it all figured out, and I looked it up, and it's Scott E vest. And it's basically just a travel utility vest. So when I looked, it had, if you look on the inside, there's pockets all over the place on the inside. I think another ad I saw advertised, there's like 20 something different pockets in this vest. There's a big old pocket in the back. Anyway, so I looked it up. I mean, it's definitely got some wear to it, and it sells resale. I'm looking at maybe 30 to 40 for this one. I thought it'd be a little bit higher, but there was, I think condition is going to kind of pull it down a little bit. Okay, so that was mostly the men's, but that was for our Goodwill. That was quite a bit of good men's jackets and sweaters and things like that. There's sometimes more or less. There were times last winter my husband and I would go and it was like that. You would just find jackets, and there was all sorts of outerwear brands and Patagonia and Pendletons and things. And then the next time you went, there was nothing. So I think that's true of all of you who resell, you know, thrift stores are like that. So it just happened to be one of those. There was actually a lot of other pieces that either Goodwill had priced up, or they have a few things, like there were shoes I might have gotten, but their shoes they price individually. They don't have a flat rate for their shoes. And so I kind of skipped those. And then some other things, they were really good brands, but the condition just wasn't good. And so I just left those. Okay, so there was 2 women's things besides the shoes. And these are pants. They were in the men's jeans, and they're Western style pants. They are called Rockies is the brand. It's actually Rocky Mountain something company. I'm drawing a blank. Riding? No. It'll come to me. Rocky Mountain. Anyway, so they call them Rockies. That's what people who want them, they want their Rockies. They're high-waisted. They have no pockets on the back, so they're very, well, see, and they're called Rockies right there too. But they are high-waisted. They have a very Western yoke-looking thing to the front. They have no pockets in the back. They call that bareback. And anyway, they're sought after even among people who don't ride, because they have that high-waisted kind of mom jean kind of look. And what's cool about these is that they are new old stock, or new with tags. Don't know necessarily if these are vintage. Actually, they are made in the US, so it's possible. It's just I don't know if this company was ever not made in the US, or I don't know the current state of this company at the moment. But I have sold Rockies in the past. This is the first time finding them new with tags, and so I think they'll do pretty good. I think those will be more than $50. And they still like them for riding as well. And they make them super, super long so that you can scrunch them over your cowboy boot when you ride. Or so I'm told. I'm not a horse person, but I just live in horse country now. So if anybody knows any better, you can tell me down below in the comments. Okay, and then this is the woman's sweater I got. It's vintage. I love seeing labels like that. It's so vintage. It's Kimlon by RBK Importers. It's just an acrylic sweater made in Korea, so most likely 70s. And then looking at the style, it's like a little tied waist, very boho looking. A lot of the other sweaters by this brand that I saw online had a very similar boho look. The square neck should be pretty popular, so I think that'll go pretty quick. I'm thinking about $30. Some of the sweaters I saw and sold actually had done pretty well, a lot higher than I expected, but I will shoot for about 30, 35 maybe. The colors are really cool on that. I love that pattern. So, okay, if you are still with me, if you want to bear with me a little bit longer, I can show you the shoes that I found. I'll show you the men's shoes first. These were exciting. These are some leather boots, chukka boots, ankle boots. The brand is called Gokey, G-O-K-E-Y, Gokey Company. I don't know if you're going to be able to see in there, but it's imprinted in the sole there. And really good condition. So I listed them already. They're listed for $179.99. Comps are anywhere like around there and lower to like $150 or $100. So I thought I would start there and see where it goes from there. They're heavy. They're like heavy duty, and they're vintage as well. I found a pair, sorry, coming down here. of Chacos. So like I'm saying, that day at Goodwill, there just was brands that just aren't normally there. I mean, there were some hunter boots there, but they were ankle boots, and I think they were kids, and Goodwill had marked them a little bit higher, but I never see hunter boots there. And same, I hardly ever see Chacos. So it was kind of neat to see those. And then here's just some women's boots I thought were super cute. The brand on those, again, I hadn't sold this before or heard of it, but it's called Bionico or Bionica. And yeah, they're just like slip resistant, but I thought the little sweater and the ties and everything were super cute. And sorry, my hair is going crazy on me. And then these, I live in a Western state, horse country, like I said, so there's a lot of Western themed type things. And these are just sandals. The brand is called Sonora. Couldn't find out a whole lot about that. If anybody has heard of it. I mean, I found some, but I didn't find a whole lot about the company itself. But I just thought they were super pretty, and they're in really good condition and Western style. Anyway, so that's what I found there. And then 3 more hard goods, and then I'll let you go. Not big on hard goods that day. That's okay. I was finding some other stuff. But I found, this is just a candle holder. It's very heavy. It's crystal. There was a big price tag here. I was hoping the signature was at the bottom, but it wasn't. And so if anybody recognizes it, you can let me know down below. I mean, it could just be like a Macy's, you know, there's probably 2 of them, but I really liked how it was etched and like stacked looking kind of thing like that. Okay, don't know anything about that. Don't know what to do with it. I found, and I paid $1 for it. I found this double egg cup in this really pretty pattern. I'll do it that way so you can actually see it. And it is by Lenox, and the pattern is called Ming. And so I did pay up a little bit for that. I paid about $4 for it. I don't know. It was just really pretty. And sometimes these unusual pieces in dinnerware can do pretty well. So the comps I found, most people had pairs or more. So I think I can get possibly $20 or so for this. So I would rather have not paid $4 for it to only make that little, but sometimes it's just fun to do the research. I did find out that the stamp on the bottom by Lenox is, the black stamp is older. There's a newer version of this pattern out, and so that should probably help it as well. It's in really good condition, and it's just really pretty. That will probably go in my Ruby Lane shop. Okay, last thing is a turtle. And I just grabbed it because I thought it was interesting. I have no idea if it's vintage. It looks like, you can see all the way through it. It looks galvanized, some kind of galvanized metal. So I'm thinking yard art, lawn art. It could be sold right now at a plant place in town. I don't know if it's like a flower frog type thing, but outside, or if it's just, I did see some that said planters, like you could maybe put succulents or moss or something in it, but it looks like it's just designed to be outside. So I paid a couple bucks for that because I thought it was really cool. If anybody has seen it lately in something recent, let me know. But I figured a turtle lover would want to figure out what to do with it. Okay, so hopefully that wasn't too long. I've got to get into editing and figuring all that out all over again. And if I can figure it out, I'll try to put some comps up on the screen. I hope I've left myself enough room to do that. If not, don't worry if things cover my face. Anyway, so I'm happy to have shared all that with you today. I will hopefully be fairly regular in getting some videos out. and we'll do some hauls, and I'll do some what sold. I'll share some of the things I've been selling, and along the way we'll kind of catch up with each other. And again, I'm going by Pish Posh, and I've put I should put all my links to my stores and my social media down below. And go ahead, feel free, leave me a comment. Let me know how you found me. If you used to subscribe to Recycle-ista and you hung in there and you're still there, or if you just saw it some other place. So go ahead and introduce yourself, and we'll see you hopefully sometime soon. Thanks. Bye.